I don't know if they told you this, but the NFL draft is more than one round long, and it is perfectly legal to get good players after the first round. Hopefully the Jets do that, starting with my top 5 preferences for pick number 42. Now, I am going to just make an assumption that Mike Green, Will Johnson, and Luther Burden are going to be not taken. Maybe one or multiple of them would have been on here. Will Johnson and Green, it's just really hard because it's off field and injury stuff. So how do you weigh that? But we're not going to have them in the list. I think they'll be taken. So number 1 to me would be Jaylen Noel, wide receiver, Iowa State. I actually like his skill set a little bit better than a teammate who will make an appearance at the bottom of the list as well. But he reminds me of Tyler Lockett, a slot receiver that is a field stretcher, right? Really, really good vertical and just deep ball tracking ability. Not crazy elusive with the ball in his hands, but Tyler Lockett, Christian Kirk a little bit type of player. I think he can come in and be an immediate wide receiver too, just a professional, competent NFL receiver that in the right circumstances could have a year or two where he pops for like wide receiver 1 production. But at pick 42, you'll take a very good wide receiver 2. I think Jaylen Noel could be that. And pass catcher, I would say, is probably the team's biggest need at this point, especially since they filled right tackle with the first round with Membu. Number 2, Mason Taylor, tight end, LSU. Now, I do see a lot of people, and maybe it's correct, who knows, lump Taylor and Ferguson and Helm all kind of together. But I do see Mason Taylor as kind of on a bridge tier in between the first round tight ends, which it's a big gap between Warren, Loveland, and Taylor. It's a significant gap, of course. But I do see a bit of a gap between Taylor and that next cluster of Terrence Ferguson, Gunnar Helm, and the rest of the tight end class. And he's number 29 on Daniel Jeremiah's big board. I think he has the tools to be developed into a 3-down player. And yeah, I would say tight end probably even bigger than wide receiver. Like if the talent is even, I think tight end is a bigger need. I'd rather, we do have Corley who could have some untapped potential. He hasn't really gotten to play a ton. But then again, guys like Josh Reynolds, Allen Lazard, and Tyler Johnson, as uninspiring as those names are, it's still they're still more proven NFL players than Jeremy Rucker and Stone Smart for what it's worth. So tight end, massive need. He split time, 50% slot and inline at LSU. I think he can contribute as a move blocker right away, can develop some inline blocking skills, but athleticism, the bloodlines, Jason Taylor, relative, get him in here, and he honestly should be tight end 1 in pretty short order with the way this depth chart is if you're spending a top 50 pick on Mason Taylor. Number 3, now Nick Scorton, edge, Texas A&M. Look, I think a lot of us are just saying pass catcher no matter what, and I get that. There's going to be a pass catcher, in my opinion, that's going to be worth taking at 42, the way the board is shaken out. Tight end or wide receiver. So that's my preference. That's why my top 2 guys are a wide receiver and a tight end. But I think we're being naive if that's how we think the draft works, right? If they have a player who's really highly rated, Aaron Glenn is a defensive-minded head coach. He spent his first-round pick on offense. He might want to get a defensive player here. And with Nick Scorton, he reminds me of Carl Lawson, who I know that triggers bad memories, but Carl Lawson could play, man. He just tore his Achilles. A very compact, powerful edge rusher who maybe doesn't have like the bend and the athleticism. That's why we're talking second round, to have a 10-plus sack ceiling, but I think brings a really high floor as a well-rounded starting edge in a 4-3 base, where if you start him and Jermaine Johnson as your base defenders, and Will McDonald is now like the best situational pass rusher in football, that's a worthy cause for the number 42 overall pick, and that's why he does check in at number 3. Number 4, staying on defense before we round it off with one more pass catcher, Kevin Winston Jr., safety, Penn State. Dude, man, he is a perfect stylistic fit to finish off this secondary next to Cisco, who's the free safety, the ball hawk, the center fielder. Kevin Winston Jr. is a downhill thumper who just does not miss tackles when he's healthy. And I think he would have been a first-round pick if he didn't have that injury. And now you have a true strong safety in Winston, a true free safety in Cisco. You have your 3 starting corners. Like, Aaron Glenn, former cornerback, have your secondary completely squared away. And then you have guys like Tony Adams and Oliver who are now properly slotted as backups. And I think the Jets' safety play has been an underrated reason why their run defense has been kind of suspect. And I think he helps that in a big way and is obviously well-rounded enough, has some chops against the pass to be warranted taking in the top 50. So a complete player, but definitely more of your prototypical strong safety. Number 5 is Jaden Higgins, wide receiver, Jaylen Noel's teammate. Highly productive. His style of play doesn't really match his measurables because he has like a crazy RAS score. He's super big, but he is just more of I'm going to be in the right place at the right time. Great hands, 2% drop rate, almost 60% contested catch rate. So if you're going to bet on some traits to break the round 2 wide receiver curse, a massive catch radius and great hands, both in contested catch situations, back shoulder, in traffic, and then just not dropping the ball. Those are some pretty good traits to bet on there. So those are the top 5 guys for me, and we'll talk about soon.